I think I might have been too lenient on Amazon Prime's Rings of Power Episode 6. Why do I think that? Because the damn thing keeps rattling around in my brain, and more stupid just keeps popping out as my brain works and works and works. All of the stuff that just didn't frickin' make any damn sense. I guess I'm gonna call this a quick and dirty review of my Amazon Rings of Power Episode 6 spoiler review? I don't know, it was bouncing around in my head, and then I remembered, oh, I've got a YouTube channel for this crap. So the more I thought about it, the more I realized the reason I was probably so damn lenient on last episode of Rings of Power is because Galadriel actually shut her mouth for most of it. That there was no Galadriel being annoying or interacting in just absolutely retarded ways with various cast members who themselves haven't really endeared me to them. And then also there were no hobbits and no Elrond. Nothing going on with either one of those is of any interest in this show so far. Except for the fact that Elrond's dealing with the only two good characters in this entire show. That would be Durin and Disa. Durin's father has been okay, but we really haven't had enough of him on screen to be sure about that. The next thing I noticed when rewatching my video to make sure it didn't get screwed up again while uploading was it was too damn dark. I gotta apologize for some of the pictures that are in that video because, good lord, you could barely tell what the hell I was trying to convey by using those pictures. Which I guess is almost a metaphor for that episode. It was dark, and the darkness kind of obscured all of the retardedness that was going on. And the more I thought about it, the more the tower thing just kept bothering me. And the more I thought about it, the more problems I saw with it, and the less smart and more wishful thinking it seemed to be. Because when you look at the tower a second time, it almost looks like it's made for somebody to bring it down, which would make absolutely zero sense. And when you combine that with what goes on later, you begin to wonder if it's really an elven tower. Or is this something left over from the war with Morgoth? Or the after effects of the war with Morgoth? Which kind of leads into the village defense. Because the more I think about that, it just gets even dumber and dumber. Especially when you consider that the stupid little bridge that the orcs so conveniently use to get into the village crosses a stream that you could literally walk over. So why was everybody funneling themselves into the village across this damn bridge in order to get to a battle? Not quite understanding that part. And then we get into the battle itself, especially the first part of the battle, where it's faux orcs and orcs trying to kill the villagers. What did they need the battering ram to get into the tavern for? The orcs later on, when Adar brings his force in, had no problem whatsoever getting into that tavern. They basically kicked and punched their way in. So why did the first group need a battering ram? And don't tell me that the first group softened up the door for the second group. That's just idiotic as well. Which I guess brings me to the very quick scene they showed of the Númenóreans galloping across a mountain vale. Now, that scene bothered me as well, but I wasn't quite sure why. And then I remembered that an episode ago, they were still in Numenor. So, one of two things has happened. Either they have completely screwed up the timeline as this show has gone on, or Amazon's Clown Camp have no idea both how far it is from Numenor to the mouth of the Southland River, then from the river to the town, mind you, going over a mountain range. And then they also don't understand how horses work. I mentioned that in the review, but that was in the context of galloping across the mountain vale to the battle, fighting in the battle, and then going on another gallop as Adar runs away. But this is something different than that. This is exactly how fast do both ships and horses move across the land. Because the way they are depicting both the ships and the horses moving, you would think that Numenor was basically situated at the mouth of the river. And even that would be too far away for the Numenorians to get there in the way they have. So Amazon has completely screwed up the way people move across the land and across the water. Peter Jackson did a really good job of showing that in the Lord of the Rings movies. Yes, he got people moving across the land very fast, but he also took the time to show scenes of them in different locations on obviously different days. And how did he do that? He showed them in different weather. He showed them in different times of the day. He showed them in different terrain. None of that has gone on here. We have had no setup of the Numenorians moving from the sea up the river. Never mind how they got the ships up the river. In order to get ships upriver, you kind of need oars, and there were no oars on that ship. And then you have to show them getting off the ship, saddling up, and getting from the river through the mountains to the village. None of that was done. We had one scene showing them galloping through a mountain valley. And keep in mind, they're doing all of this operating on intel that is 6 months old from some strange human that nobody knows, that Galadriel met in the middle of the ocean under less than ideal circumstances. After all, he did basically kill his 3 raft mates, basically fed them to the sea dragon. Never mind that he saved Galadriel. So that's who we're trusting to give us information that is 6 months old in order to go to war. Military commanders don't work that way. I'm sorry. Just doesn't happen. And then once the Numenorians get to the village, the whole battle scene was just... I think by that time my brain was numb. The number of idiotic things that went on in that battle kept popping up in my head after I finished my review, until it was just... it rattled around in my head like some annoying grit that I just needed to get out. So, the battle ends. Everybody's celebrating. They've got orcs under a tarp, chained together. What the hell are they going to do with the orc prisoners? Do they have a jail somewhere? Somehow I doubt that. That's not what my impression of the Southlands. The Southlands did not seem that organized to me. So, what are we doing with the orc prisoners? We know from Galadriel's little talk with Adar at the end of the episode before everything got ramped up to full retard that she would really like to kill them all. And from everything I've seen of humans when they talk about orcs, unless they're on the orc side, they're usually pretty cool with that idea. So are we going full ethnic cleansing here like Galadriel said? What are we doing with the orcs? Because at the end of The Return of the King, it looked like Sauron took the orcs with him by tossing them all into the crevices that opened up when the tower went after Frodo and Sam and Gollum finally managed to get the stupid ring into Mount Doom. Nothing is ever mentioned about what the hell we're doing with the orcs. And then we come to Isildur and his buddies. Dude Bro is a commander, so he's not going anywhere. He wants Isildur to come with him on the patrol, probably led by Galadriel once she gets done with Adar. But the third guy says he's out. That's not how armies work. That has never been how armies work. They have words for that, and they usually come with manacles and charges whose punishment involved death. You don't join an army to go on a campaign and simply quit in the middle of a campaign in which the commander is hundreds of leagues away from home with 300 men. That's not happening. So, yeah, not sure what that's all about. And then the Shard hotline just gets more retarded the more you think about it, as it passed from hand to hand. I mean, how does Arondir not feel the difference in weight and shape from when he hit it before the battle in the dumbest place imaginable? It should not have taken Theo unwrapping it and realizing, oh, that's not the shard. Oops, we've got a problem. And then once you think about the shard mechanism, the less sense it makes. I know I said it was clever, and it is. It's a clever plot point that they just laid down episodes ago and never quite explained. Well, this is the payoff to that. That's impressive for these idiots. That should be applauded. Now, is it a smart plot point? No, not really. You don't need a shard to knock a hole in the dam so that the water flows and your little trench that you dug gets filled with water. The more you think about that, the less sense it makes. And the volcano part of that, that gets even dumber when you remember that the two options that I said at the end of my review, it's a dream or Galadriel uses magic. I forgot how stupid Amazon is. I forgot how stupid Payne and McKay are. I forgot how stupid the other writers on this show are. And I should have come up with a third option. Galadriel magically survives without magic, a pyroclastic flow, which basically should have wiped out everyone and everything in that village. It would have been Pompeii all over again. If you weren't destroyed by the hot ash and the magma and the hot gases, you basically would have been turned into a volcano mummy. Are you trying to tell me that these idiots actually made the major plot point of episode 6, and a plot line that they've been kind of coaxing along for episodes now, and nobody called a volcanologist to say, hey, what happens if a bunch of water hits a volcano? What happens if it goes directly into the caldera? What happens when it actually explodes? Can somebody survive a pyroclastic flow? These are questions that should have been asked when they were writing the story. Not after they've written it, not after they've rehearsed, not after they've filmed the thing, not after they've edited it, and definitely not after they have aired the stupid thing. So, those are some of the thoughts that have been rattling around in my brain for the last 24 hours. Don't know if they'll be of any interest to anybody else, but I needed to get all that crap off my chest. Hope you find it interesting. I'll be back soon with the next video. Bye for now. Oh, do all the YouTube things if you would. I really appreciate it. And my links will be in the description. Tschüss.